What is up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, Coach, Austin. We're hanging out with you. We've got another AFC West season preview for you. Kansas City Chiefs today. What's up, boys? Are they going through for a three-peat? Are they going to complete the three-peat?
Three-peat for sure, bro. Come on now.
See, I think
Chief Kingdom, boy.
anybody saying with full confidence the Chiefs are going to complete the three-peat is just 100% delusional. It's never been done. I mean, if a team's going to do it, it would probably be Andy Reid and the Chiefs. But people said that about the Patriots before too.
Yeah. But look who coach is
so hard to win one.
Yes.
To win three in a row.
Bro, they've been to 3 out of the past 4.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nuts.
They've been to 3 out of the last 4.
Domination.
They still dropped an L in one of them.
And they've upgraded their team.
They have the best football player in football right now. Very young, in a team-friendly
He's only
deal.
getting better, too.
He's only getting better, and he just added a bunch of weapons.
Years before that, he had slumps in the middle of the season. Like, that was a big thing for Patrick Mahomes. He would have these slumps.
The dude,
he did not have that last year.
Nick from FS1 called last year that they were going to go undefeated and win the Super Bowl, and then they lost to the Lions week 1. So, like, yeah, I don't think that they're going to go undefeated. But adding Hollywood Brown, adding Xavier Worthy, like, all right, if those two guys end up looking exactly like MVS and Kadarius Toney did last year, they might struggle because they're not going to have a young guy like Rashee Rice potentially for over half the season. They are much different, though. Kadarius Toney was supposed to be this electric guy, and he couldn't catch the ball. Now, what I've seen of Xavier Worthy is some drops. Now, I'll say this. Jamar Chase, his rookie year in training camp and rookie training camp and all that stuff.
He didn't catch a ball in preseason, bro.
He did not catch one, and then
It affected his draft stock so much in dynasty drafts and stuff. It was insane. Dude was dropping to, like, the second round.
Yes.
Are you talking about KT or XW?
XW. I think that Xavier Worthy's already dropping some balls, and it's not looking great.
So yeah, I hate that you even said that. I wanted to just, like, because of the Jamar Chase situation. I just hate that I even saw it.
Yeah, but
moving.
Jamar Chase
it was literally one.
Did
you see more than one drop though?
Yes. I saw a couple clips, but then again, it's like we maybe saw the 3 clips that were posted versus the 29 other catches he made that day.
Yeah,
like
exactly. I want to see some good catches though. Like that'll redeem it for me. If I see him go up and snag one, or just like
go watch some film. Game time, baby.
Austin, that is your motto right there. That is your motto. Film. We are gonna get that stamped on a shirt.
Go watch
for you.
Some film.
Go
you
watch.
Need to get that on a neon sign back there behind you in the background. Watch
Literally,
some film.
bro. Watch out for your birthday because that's what you're
about
getting.
A sign that I needed. A neon one.
So they brought in Hollywood Brown, added Irv Smith Jr. at tight end. You know, obviously Rashee Rice has kind of got. Yeah, Rashee Rice has got the stuff going on. Now, I think they're looking at Kelsey's just life and age.
Yeah.
Like his interests outside of football are becoming much bigger. He's got the biggest football podcast out there right now with New Heights with his brother.
Hey, shout out.
They also drafted a tight end in Jared Wiley out of TCU, took him in the 4th round, brought in, like you said, Xavier Worthy. And Kingsley Suamatia, give a shout out there to the offensive tackle taken in the 2nd round for him. I like what they did in the draft as far as the pieces that they need. I love the Kamal Hayden pick in the 6th round. He was one of our guys that almost every mock draft we were taking him in the end of drafts just because of his side and athletic ability. Overall, the ADP for this team is pretty much what you would expect it to be. Mahomes being the number 3 quarterback overall, number 3 quarterback, number 35 overall, about 3rd round, probably where you expect. Pacheco, number 13 running back, number 41 overall. That one I like because if you're one of those guys like me who want to wait on a running back, if you're able to get him in the late 3rd, early 4th to be your RB1, I feel good about that.
Sam Laporta just hooked up anybody that wants to get Mahomes and Kelsey at the same time so heavily. Because for the first
true.
time ever, Mahomes isn't easily a first round pick and then Kelsey easily a second. You don't have to literally go back to back first and second. You can take someone in the first round and then second and third round get Mahomes and Kelsey together because of Sam Laporta.
Especially if you're picking
huge.
it like the back end of the second round.
Yes.
And you can just go back to back and wrap it around there. Yeah, I agree with you there, especially in redraft leagues. Dynasty leagues, I think Kelsey's going much lower just because of overall age and
absolutely.
how many more years is he realistically going to play at this point. Rashee Rice, number 32
He's just
wide
pushing,
receiver, Hollywood
records.
number 36, and Xavier Worthy number 42. Rashee still being a sixth round wide receiver with his suspension up in the air. Obviously, nobody knows how long it's going to be, but that's still a little shocking to me. I think we're going to
7.
continue to see him drop down as far as his average.
All three of these guys are being drafted before every single wide receiver for the Chargers. All three of them coming off the board before any of the Chargers wide receivers.
That's wild, but I also understand it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only one that I don't agree with is Rice, like you're saying. I think Hollywood Brown is actually going to bump up a little bit throughout the season, throughout the offseason, once we figure out what
Hollywood
happens
is
with Rice.
one of those guys, like he's one of those moves in the offseason that I feel like is being very slept on. Like nobody's
Yeah.
talking about Hollywood. Xavier got drafted, so he's now the darling wide receiver. Oh my God, they got the next Tyreek Hill. Literally everything said about Hollywood Brown coming out of Oklahoma when he got drafted was his speed, his playmaking ability, what he can do with the ball in his hands.
He's related to Antonio Brown.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Like his route
He's his
running.
cousin.
Like, I mean, his only
Oh.
thing, his concern, which with the Kadarius Toney stuff,
There
is
we go.
he's got some drops and big
Thank you.
time drops, like wide
Thank
open,
you.
sprinting down the sideline.
Yes.
Nobody around you.
So
It's put in the basket and you drop it type of stuff.
that was exactly why whenever they draft or traded for him or acquired him, I was a little disappointed because you need to get receivers that can catch the ball, and this is a guy that's known for dropping the ball. So like, what are
True.
we doing here?
But
I
we've
see the
seen
talent, though, like
production
you
out of
said.
him that we've never
Yeah.
seen out of Kadarius Toney and
And it
stuff
was,
he
like
it was
that.
cheap.
When he was
It
in
cheap,
Arizona
probably.
and he was the number one target, he was targeted heavily and he had quite a bit of fantasy value.
When
That
he was
Oh,
in
yeah.
Baltimore, he had decent fantasy
Solid flex.
value as
and that was
as
with
a
Lamar
wide receiver 2 flex
and the run
type
heavy
of guy,
Baltimore
but
Ravens.
yeah, like that's he's one move that I think is being very slept on, and right now going at number 75 overall
I'm very happy
in the
with that.
seventh. Like I would absolutely pull
flex.
the trigger on him if he's there for me.
Wide receiver 4 range.
Flex, and you're
Now-
getting any one of these guys. It could end up being the potential number one wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Yeah, Rashee Rice was the guy last year, but that was by default because nobody else could catch a cold in the winter. This
I
year, when
feel
you have more options for it, you could see somebody else develop into the guy of, all right, I know regardless, this guy's got me.
I feel
And
you
he's
on that.
looking for that guy outside of Kelsey.
But Rashee Rice is him. Like he is that dude. He was a rookie and he was balling. Like he's definitely got the talent to take this team to the next level.
It
if
was nice
he's
to
out there
see his
playing.
progression. Like you can look at his stat line and see each week his targets. Like every
Literally.
4 weeks, his targets
Just the
went up a
trust being
tier.
built. And what he was
learning
doing with
the
the ball, he
system.
was getting a touchdown a week. He's a monster.
I agree.
The only knock on him is the fact that he has this up in the air, like you said. The
Well, yeah, he just
suspension. So, like,
punched
we
a
don't know.
photographer like last
that
week.
Yeah,
too,
not-
like the dude
and
just
so-
can't stay out of trouble, and that's where the reason it started coming back too is to why he dropped in the draft coming out of SMU with the talent he has. Why didn't he go higher? This is why he had those character concerns to where there was a couple teams that straight up said he was off of their board. He was not an option. So, I mean, it's things like that. When you do see this, it's like, oh, okay. Like, let's get it under wraps. You're still a young guy. Like, I've got faith in you. I have you in one of my dynasty leagues. Like, I'm hoping you figure it out because I would love to be able to play you.
So last year, I think a really, really big strategy was I'm going to take 2 or 3 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds, and then I'm going to find massive value at a running back in round 4. And last year, uh, Stevenson, Ramondre from
Ramondre.
he was a target, and then also the Bucks running back
Rashad White.
Rashad White. Those were the two big targets that you were taking in mid-tier rounds. Now Rashad White ended up having a much better season.
Was Walker in there as well, or was he a little bit higher?
Kenneth Walker. I
He's
think
a
he
little
was
bit higher.
going more second, third round last year.
Yeah, people weren't too worried about Charbonnet, and until injury happened, Charbonnet wasn't much of a problem.
You could
Pacheco
get, like,
at
Kamara
41
in the
though.
fourth.
Pacheco at 41. That was because of the suspension though. Pacheco though at 41.
Yeah, that was like the best one you could get.
That's this year's like let's go running back for me. If I can take 2 or 3 receivers early and then get my running back a little bit later and expect touchdowns, expect decent production. He doesn't receive the ball enough to have a lot of value in a full PPR, but in a half point that doesn't matter as much. I really like Pacheco at running back 13. It's an RB2 that could potentially have upside over an RB1.
Or, and like I said, for a guy like me who would prefer to be able to just let me load up on wide receivers or the top guys at their position, not necessarily quarterback, because you can kind of wait on that. But if you're telling me I can come out of this draft with Justin Jefferson, Sam Laporta, and I don't know, throw somebody else out there at wide receiver in the third round, and then get Pacheco in the fourth as my default
Is he really
running
going
back
in the
one,
fourth this year?
I'm
41
fine with it.
overall.
Because bro,
In
there's
a
honestly
10-man
only
in a
one other,
10-man league,
two
he's
other
go-
quarterbacks.
average, he's
or
going in
running
the
backs
fourth.
I would take. There's only 2 running backs I would take over him. Like
2?
you got like Brees Hall and Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe JT, and then like I'm targeting Isaiah. Like the rest of these guys, like there's question marks with the team. There's solid running backs.
He
behind
had a
them.
little bit of injury history last year. I think Josh Jacobs will go ahead of him. Honestly, Aaron Jones
Josh Jacobs is
probably going to go ahead.
him.
You love Marshawn Lloyd so much,
Bro.
Hey, if you're listening to this, make sure you watch
Watch
our
too.
Packers video when we
dude's a
talked about that
monster.
one last week. I think that there aren't 12 running backs that are better than him, but I think there's probably 8. Just because of injury, they like to throw the ball a lot. They're obviously going to go with a air it out type of an offense this year with all the moves that they made. Pacheco is a super hard runner, so just like Kenneth Walker, all the things we love about Kenneth Walker, the football player, make him a liability as Isaiah Pacheco, the fantasy star. He can't receive the ball. He takes big hits because he never stops running. I mean, he runs angry, dude.
He
love
does take
watching
some
him play.
receptions.
Some, but he's not enough for me. Like he's not getting 5 targets a game.
But he's also on a great
could come out
offense,
of this draft, if I told you you could come out of this draft with, let me see this real quick. Okay, I got it. If you could come out of this draft with Puka Nacua, Sam Laporta, Nico Collins, and then Isaiah Pacheco, and then in the very next round after Isaiah Pacheco, you're able to take a James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones. Like,
I love that.
I'm loving that roster right there. Like that to me, if you wait on a running back rounds 4 through 6, you better snag them.
Yeah.
Because there are some dudes there, but then there is a steep drop off once you get past round 6.
Now with Pacheco, Clyde's not there anymore, right? Or is he still there?
Edwards-Helaire is still there.
So that's awesome.
And
Nobody likes
They
Clyde.
picked
And I
up.
believe McKinnon's still there too, isn't he?
Yeah.
They picked up a rugby player.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in training camp with that. I don't like to. Whenever the
I'm just saying,
49ers
he looks
did
like a
that
beast, though.
a couple years ago, he also looked like a beast, and he was for the first 3 weeks. And
With
then
the new
kinda fell off.
kickoff with the new kickoff rules, dudes like that start to intrigue me because they could literally be rostered for that specific play.
That's a good point.
We only need you to return kicks because of the style that we're returning them with now, which does kind of mirror a little bit of that rugby style to where it's more of a scrum.
Yep.
And nobody's able to even take off until you catch the ball.
I
So
think
I am
name?
very interested in how
Luis-
they work that.
he's the rugby player, man. Until he does something,
Zemet.
he's the rugby player for me. Now, what I was trying to say is Clyde is going to be an absolute necessary handcuff, or Jerick McKinnon. I prefer Clyde because Clyde's the volume guy. If Isaiah Pacheco goes down, he'll at least get the same type of looks that Pacheco was getting. He just won't do as much with them.
Okay,
but
so
he'll
I
get
don't
the
see
touchdowns.
McKinnon on the depth chart anymore. They do have Keontae Ingram, but I agree. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he has to be a handcuff.
Yeah, have to. Especially
right
taking a running
now-
back in the fourth. Like, you have to get his handcuff.
Edwards-Helaire isn't even going until the 24th
Just 'cause
round,
the
so it's no
touchdown
problem to
value.
get
Nobody
him
cares
as a
about him.
handcuff.
Yeah, nobody cares about him. But I would probably 12th to 15th round try to just snag him because somebody will try to get crafty. That's what I do in leagues. I don't care if a guy's undrafted. If I think that there's a potential, I'll roster him for 4 or 5 weeks.
Especially if I've already filled out my starters and most of my like rotational guys. Absolutely. My last 5 or 6 picks are just straight up like dudes I'm personally high on. So I don't have to take them off the waiver wire later.
Now, Austin, the Chiefs went 11-6 and then won the Super Bowl last year. Their
Yes,
over-under
sir.
this year is 11.5. You thinking
It
over?
should be
Or are you thinking under?
17.5.
17.5.
And the over on the
That's not-
17.5.
that's
They're
not
going to win
possible.
undefeated.
That's not possible. You can't win 18
They're gonna win the bye
regular
week.
season games. They're gonna
You can win the bye week,
There
bro.
you go. There you go. Hey, they're already winning the offseason in a lot of people's
That's how you
eyes.
win the Super Bowl right there.
You can't lose. Well, I guess you
So
can
it's 11.5
technically
or
lose the
10.5?
bye week.
11.5 or 10.5? Which was it?
11.5.
11.5.
Over
And they
under.
had 11 wins last year.
11 wins last year, but they definitely
I think
dropped
they get
some
one more.
wins.
Oh, wait. Well, actually, I don't know about that. They actually do have a pretty tough schedule.
They do.
Like,
They like to
there's
give them a
some-
tough one.
especially in the beginning.
They have to play the Bengals. They have to play the Bills.
So,
and those are their
depending
flex
on
games.
how they get through that gauntlet in the beginning of the year, like how healthy they come out of that, depends on the rest of their season.
I see 7
they get through it and they
possible
win-
losses.
7. Woo.
Like 7 possible losses just based on difficult matchups. Like when you figure the Chargers and Harbaugh twice, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills.
Bills.
They've got the 49ers,
Texans.
the Texans. Like they do have a tough
the
schedule
Broncos,
here.
the Steelers, the Browns, the Chargers
Like,
twice.
They've got a difficult schedule
And
for
the,
me.
So
the
what are you
Raiders
saying?
don't play them easily.
I'm saying under because I think they go 11-6 again.
Yeah, I this is a
Like
really,
so
really
they,
tough
they-
schedule.
You miss it by 0.5.
If there was like Reds and Greens, I feel like there'd be Reds off the charts right now. We have a great football team to work with. I think there's gonna be scrappy games.
Well,
down
and
to
we've
the wire.
seen the Chiefs too. They start
They're being
out slow.
tested.
Like they're not worried if they start out 2-4
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they know at some point they're getting that figured out. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have their bye in week 6. So if they're 2-3 at their bye, they're not concerned at all.
I'm going to agree with you guys on the 11.5 under based on the unknown of Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. It could
Let me
end
put
up
it
biting
this
us
way:
in
if
the
Rashee
ass.
Staley,
Rice.
if Staley were still in
Rashee Rice.
LA, if Brandon Staley were still in LA, I'd say over because I think it'd be a clean sweep of the Chargers. Whereas I think
Yeah.
the Chargers do at least take one.
Yeah,
this
and
year.
I think the Raiders might take one too.
I mean, the
Same with
Raiders did
Broncos.
last year. They did last year.
Yeah.
They did last year.
And
but-
Arrowhead, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Arrowhead
And they
last
were on
year.
a streak of not losing.
That
to the
was one of
Broncos
those
for a
games
while.
that screwed up so many people's parlays that week
Oh.
because nobody had the Chiefs losing.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah, that was one
At
of those
home.
that hurt. But hey, we appreciate you guys. We love all of you for coming in. Chiefs Kingdom, if you're here, comment down below why we're stupid or the greatest geniuses you've ever heard. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor.
Jimmy.
Subscribe. 500 subscribers, free jersey. We love you. We appreciate you. Toodaloo, buckaroo.
So.